Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It's
Hello and welcome to another live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford here along with A.D. Drew. And it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of celebrations to congratulations and celebrations and all that good stuff. We got some good guests coming up a little bit later in the show. So we'll start the show in just a moment. Drew, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing fine, my brother. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing okay, man. Once again, the NFL is proving that I know nothing about the NFL. Just when I think I know a little something, they change the script every week, and I hate myself for being a fan. That's all I can say. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say on the air. But I hate it. I hate myself every day. All right. All right. So
we're gonna leave that alone, my brother.
Yeah, thank you. Please. Getting beat upside the head every weekend. But anyway, if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, thank you for doing so. Make sure to subscribe to us if you're watching us on the YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, make sure you are liking us on Facebook. Make sure you've subscribed. I know you probably have, but if not, go ahead and share this with a couple of people. Let's bring in some folks. We got a lot to talk about. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1. We've got championships to talk about. The SIAC and the CIAA championships have been decided. Neither game was close, but hey, we kind of felt that it might go that route anyway. We've got big-time action and a few surprises that took place in the SWAC and in the MEAC. One half of the Celebration Bowl has already been decided. One half of the SWAC championship game has been decided. So we'll talk about that. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll be talking about the Division II playoffs and two of the schools. We'll be talking with their head coaches. Head coach Damon Wilson of Bowie State will be joining us at the bottom of the first hour. And then somewhere about 7:20, bottom of the second hour, we'll talk to Albany State head coach Gabe Giardina, who will be joining us as well. Drew, we can go in any number of directions. Which recaps do you want to start with from the weekend, my brother? Tough call.
I'm gonna go way out of left field.
Whoa, okay.
And I'm going left to the leftmost HBCU that we have in Langston University.
Oh my gosh.
That third in a row.
Wow.
And for all the hopes of us getting a team in the NAIA playoffs.
Not this year. Well, bye-bye. But you know, thinking about the conversation we had with Coach Morgan somewhere about when they were mid-season, he stated that this was a young team. He did state that this team was probably a year ahead of where he thought they would be. And so while they were getting a lot of praise and while they were the number one team in our under D1 poll and a lot of the mid-major polls, and they had just come off the big win of taking out top-ranked Ottawa, and they went as high as number 9, I believe, in the nation, or they say knocked off number 9, but they were steadily rising. I've seen a couple metrics where they were top 10. It had a feel, now that we've seen the 3 weeks of 3 losses, tough losses. Like they lost a game.
Were they overachieving at that point?
Well, yeah. You know what? They could have been. They very well could have been. You know who it reminded me of? It reminded me of Coach Willie Simmons' first year at FAMU in 2018, a team that really, when you look back at their overall record, that team was 5-5. But at one point, they had won 4 or 5 in a row and were 1 game away from winning the MEAC title. All they had to do was go on the road and beat Howard. Now, I say all they had to do. Look, that should not be easy to go on the road, but let's just, Howard was, I don't think was Kalen Newton still there at that time?
Yes.
Okay, so. But Howard wasn't playing. They weren't playing at the high level that many people might have thought. But anyway, They went up there, a game that they probably could have won. Many people thought they should have won, but that team wasn't ready for that moment. Then they came back home the next week, lost to South Carolina State big, like 44-21, and that left them with one game to win to get into the Celebration Bowl, win the MEAC. That was the Florida Classic. We know what happened in that game. So that's what this reminds me of. You know what I'm saying? And that's my only – I'm sure people out there watching, you can think of other moments when your team was on the verge of winning a title and then had a late season collapse, losing 3 in a row. But that's my most recent recollection. So I expect Coach Morgan and that group, which is a young group, I think, way he said it, they're going to be in the hunt again next year. And so I expect them to be right back. So I'm going to go with my big starter of the weekend for me. I'm going to publicly give some praise to a young man that I think, should definitely be in the conversation for SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, and that's Rashawn McKay, quarterback for Florida A&M. McKay and the Rattlers went out to UAPB. They wiped the floor with 37-7, but McKay was the numbers. He was like 21 of. And I'm gonna hate myself here because I don't have the numbers quite pulled up exactly. Hold on, I'm gonna pull them up exactly because I want to say them and I want to be right about it. He was 22 of 31, 338 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. His QBR was well above I think it was like 218, something of that nature. And that's what that QBR was. So I think, along with Shedeur Sanders, who we're going to talk about later in this show, who had a great game. I mean, going back and watching the replay of what Shedeur did out in Southern, it's easy to see why he is going to be a favorite for SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. But I'm telling you, Rashawn McKay definitely deserves some mention. And if Florida A&M is going to the playoffs, Rashawn McKay is going to be a big reason why that happens. Let's talk about these championship games, Drew, because I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, get into the start of the show and we're talking about everything but the SIAC and the CIAA championships, which occurred on Saturday. Bowie State with their 3rd consecutive championship over Fayetteville State, all 3 over Fayetteville State. This time they won that ball game 17-7 as they jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter. Fayetteville did get a touchdown in the third quarter, but it really never seemed like that game was in doubt. As they did get a late field goal to win it 17-7, but Bowie State's defense once again proving to be the difference. And they are one of the top defenses in Division II football. And we'll talk a little bit about their seeding here coming up on the other side of a short break. And then we had Albany State getting a 31-0 win over Miles, which, look, let me see. The first time they played, what was the score when they played Miles in the regular season? Was it 31-3?
31-3.
Yeah,
so they scored 60 unanswered points against Miles.
62 unanswered since the first quarter. Miles had a 3-0 lead in the first quarter, and for the last 7 quarters, Albany State this year 62-0. And there was a moment when I saw as I'm watching the game, I saw Coach Ruffin at halftime. I think it was halftime. He had this look. And the camera went to him, and I think at halftime, the game was only 17-0 at halftime. But he had this look. He had this look that coaches have a look when you're trying to figure out how in the hell am I going to stop this other team doing what they're doing to us. You could be down by 20 in the first quarter, down by 15 at half. Your team is shooting 20%, or your team is getting beat by 17 and can't do anything. That's what is most interesting about when I saw that look by Coach Ruff, and I knew that Miles was in trouble and that Albany State was going to run away. That I believe that is their seventh shutout of the year, sixth or seventh, right?
Six and a half.
6.5, right? Because the defense, exactly. The defense, there was
defense
a pick
has
six.
six. The offense has the other half. They gave up the pick six, so we can't give them 7.
Right, exactly.
Pick six, fumble six, something.
Yeah, let's take a short break. Come right back, and we'll get into talking about the debut of the Division II playoffs. And we'll also talk about some of the exciting games in the SWAC, because one side was decided and the other side, the other division, well, it could have been decided except for this little thing about getting a road win when you really need a road win. So we'll talk about that coming up after this short break. You're watching the Sports Wrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, A.D, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em! It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, clean bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D here. And let's get into talking about the Division II playoff announcement, which came out probably about, an hour and a half ago. The NCAA announced their 28-team field. Now, again, it is 28 teams, correct, Drew?
Correct. Yeah.
So what's interesting with the way when they do it in D2, you basically have 4 regions, and there's a top team which gets a bye week, and then you have the 2, 3, and 4 get seeded, and then they sort of match up the remaining 3 teams based on it's all seems to be based on regional close proximity to matchups or potential matchups. So correct. The SIAC and the CIAA fall into the Region 2. And, of course, the last time we had football was 2019. So this year, for pretty much ever since the rankings came out, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we've seen Albany State and Bowie kind of right at about 2 and 3, right, Drew? Bowie was 2.
They have
Albany
not changed. They've been 2-3 the entire time until today.
Right. They've been 2 and 3 the entire time up until what came out today. So number 1 seed, and I get first off, Drew, tell the people the conferences that make up this region include the CIAA, the SIAC, the
Gulf South,
and the
South Atlantic.
South Atlantic. And so, if you've ever caught any of our shows, and we have Chris Ferguson on from D2 Football, we're constantly talking about those matchups between the CIAA and the SIAC versus the Gulf South. It's interesting to note that the number 1 team in the region coming into Saturday was Valdosta State. They were unbeaten. They actually have a schedule where they played 3 HBCUs in the preseason before they started their regular season, right? They played Albany State, Savannah, and
Virginia Union.
And Virginia Union. Yeah. And they put a 50 burger on Virginia Union and Savannah State. Albany State, though, only lost 21-3, I think it was.
Yes, and that was that was Valdosta's lowest point total for the season, and that game was 14-3 for majority of the second half until a late garbage time touchdown by Valdosta State.
Right. So I know there is I know that was a game, and we talked to Coach a couple weeks back that his team really felt optimistic about it. It's their only loss of the season on a 10-1 record. So the rankings pretty much went like this. Valdosta State, despite losing to West Florida in conference, which I think they ended up tying or being co-champs. They didn't win the championship outright. Valdosta State ended up 9-1, and you see there got the bye as the 1 seed. Little controversial in some people's eyes, but as it was stated, Valdosta State had the second toughest schedule in Division II football. So it is what it is.
Right. And they play in probably the number 2 toughest conference in Division II football with the I believe it's the MAC, which is covers Missouri. That's where you get your teams like Northwest Missouri State, Truman State, and some of those other national powers in that region. And our HBCU, Lincoln of Missouri, is in that conference, which is why we always have stated Lincoln of Missouri plays the toughest schedule in HBCU football because of their conference.
Right. And so Valdosta, as you see there with the bracket, also in their conference, you have West Georgia, who will take on Albany State. Albany will host a game as the 4 seed, which, is kind of interesting that Albany was not the 3 seed. The 3 seed went to West Florida, who did defeat Valdosta State. I don't know. Maybe that is the reason why West Florida is the 3 seed with a 9-1 record instead of being the 4 seed. But Bowie State held on to their 2 seed, and they will host a game against Lenoir-Rhyne. So, as you can see, you have a potential now. West Georgia 8-2 is out of the Gulf South, along with Valdosta State and West Florida. Newberry and Lenoir-Rhyne are out of the
SAC.
The SAC. Which one was the champion, by the way?
Newberry wound up the champion of the SAC. Lenoir-Rhyne came into the week number 9 and obviously bumped up to number 7 by their victory on Saturday versus I believe they had Tusculum on this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Let me double check that.
And one of the things that I saw that
they had Catawba. They had Catawba.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw, the fact that Savannah State gets shorted because Savannah State was number 7 going into the week, the weekend of games.
They were number 8.
They were 8.
They were number 8 in the region, but they had the number 7 performance indicator. Mars Hill was 6, Newberry was 7, Savannah 8, Lenoir-Rhyne 9, and Fayetteville 10.
You seem to think yesterday that based on the results that Savannah State had done enough to get in. What do you think changed? Or where was basically what you saw, what was different about what you saw and what they decided?
Lenoir-Rhyne played a Catawba team who was probably, when you look at the numbers, ranked around 20. So the fact that they played a quote-unquote top 20 team in the region may have been enough, despite the performance indicator of Lenoir-Rhyne being number 9, Savannah being number 7, to give them enough points to jump Savannah from the 9 spot to the 7 spot. Mars Hill losing was key for any of those other teams to get in, Lenoir-Rhyne or Savannah State. This is the second year consecutively that we've had Division II playoffs that an HBCU who did not play championship week got screwed. If you remember 2019, Virginia State was sitting in I believe they were actually sitting in the number 6 spot at that time. And because of how things shook out on that last Saturday when they were off and Bowie was beating Fayetteville State once again in the championship game, they were bumped by a SAC team. The SAC, in the eyes of the NCAA and these regional posters, is a higher rated conference. So that plus Savannah State basically going 0-2 against ranked teams.
Right. They went 0-2 against Valdosta State and Albany State.
And neither one of those games were close.
We weren't close, right.
Lenoir-Rhyne was 1-1 against ranked teams. So I think that was the difference. That 1 versus the 0-2 was probably what wound up bumping Lenoir-Rhyne up over Savannah State, especially when you consider Savannah State's games were not competitive in their 2 losses. And Lenore lost to Newberry 28-21, and to UVA Wise 35-28.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. We've got our first guest scheduled to join us right now, so we're going to stay here. We're not going to take a break, and let's see if we can go ahead and bring in our first guest, which I believe is going to be the head coach of the Bowie State Bulldogs. There he is himself, Coach Damon Wilson. Congratulations, Coach. And welcome to the SportsWrap. How you doing this evening?
Doing great. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah. Congratulations on the three-peat. Let's start there first, and congratulations on the 2 seed in the playoffs. Let's start with the season and just what went into this year, coming out of the pandemic, coming out of not playing, and to almost, I don't want to say just picking up where you left off, but Coach, it feels like you almost picked up where you left off in 2019.
Well, I mean, not playing football in 2020 was tough. It was tough on us. It was tough on the student athletes, and we did the best job we could, just staying involved with those guys via Zoom and making phone calls and just checking up on the guys. I think the coaching staff did a great job because it allowed us to be on one accord when we were able to come back to some type of normalcy and play football again. And I think that's really what carried us through the season. We lost to Delaware State the first game of the season, and pretty much been on the road since then. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way we carried ourselves as a program through the pandemic.
Coach, in this championship game where you're playing a familiar opponent, Fayetteville State, and it's interesting because if I'm not mistaken, you have, and I'm trying to think back here, I don't think you played them in the regular season these last couple of years, but here you are playing them for the third consecutive year. What about the familiarity with your opponent? Is there anything that is comforting in that, or what was talk about a little about the game planning that went into facing Fayetteville State for the third time?
Well, we knew we were going against a good Fayetteville State team. I know Coach Hayes does a good job with his guys preparing them. Defensively, they've been playing lights out football pretty much all year long. Offensively, they've been getting the ball to their running backs, and they have a few receivers that could stretch the field vertically. So we knew we were going to have a dogfight on our hands, and I'm glad we were able to come out with the win. However, we're familiar with the coaches, if you will, but the players, the teams were different. We didn't have the same guys on our team in 2019 that we had this year, and they didn't either. So, we weren't familiar with a lot of the guys, but, coaching style and coaching philosophy, we were familiar with those, from the coaches.
Mm-hmm. Drew?
All right, Coach. Let's spin it forward to 24 hours later, or about 26 hours later or so today. The announcements come out for the brackets. First of all, tell us, were you guys like in the locker room or the meeting room, or did you guys meet via Zoom to see this? How did you describe what happened, and then the emotion and the reaction of the players as the announcement was made today?
Well, we had our regular team meeting that we typically have on a Sunday, and then we went to the one of the ballrooms on campus. Had a little lunch there for the guys, and we sat and watched it together. As soon as the announcement was made, and the guys went back to their room, and hey, let's break down Lenore Ryan, let's get ready to play ball. So they were excited just to have an opportunity to host a playoff game, of course. And now we had to do some research on our opponent, and that's what we're doing now as a coaching staff.
All right, now gotta ask this question. Were you, with Valdosta State losing yesterday, were you a little disappointed that you did not get the number 1 seed and get the extra week to prepare?
I mean, not at all. It's one of those deals. You have to control what you can control. I've been doing this long enough now to understand how everything, it works. But we just want to control what we can control, be ready to play when the game's, when the game's called. Of course, it's nice to have a bye week because Division II play, you're going pretty much 16 straight weeks. You don't have a bye week during your regular season in our conference. So we want to make sure that it'll be nice to have one, but I wasn't disappointed at all.
All right. Now let's spin fast forward to your opponent next week. Lenore Rhyme out of the SAC. Now, you guys did have one common opponent this year, that being Virginia State. First of all, question number one. Have you already been on the phone with Reggie Barlow to get a scouting report against them and to figure out, if he can help you out? Because right now y'all could be friends, because y'all not competing against each other. That's number one. Then number two, tell us what you do know in the hour or so since it's come out. Is there anything that you know about this team thus far?
Well, the good thing, like I said, we have a common opponent, and when we were preparing for Virginia State, we were able to watch that Lenore Ryan film. So we have some familiarity with them from that game. Lenore Ryan is a very explosive offensive team. I think they're averaging somewhere up almost 500 yards a game in offense. They have two losses to two decent opponents, but we have to come and ready to play physical football for 4 straight quarters, and I think that'll give us an opportunity to win the ball game.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Coach, it seems like, and I heard one of the commentators from the NCAA broadcast mention this, the offensive talent has been there for the last several years at Bowie, but it seemed like the defense is really getting the love this year. In terms of total defense, you guys are 5th in the nation. Is that what when you look at it, I hate to compare teams, but that's what we in the media do when we do this. Do you feel like this is a stronger defensive team for the playoffs than maybe past years when you've made these runs in 2018 and 2019?
I think it's pretty comparable. But one thing that we did with our non-conference schedule was play tough opponents. We played New Haven, we played Saginaw Valley, 2 teams that have very they have a lot of tradition when it comes to winning and playoff experience. And the reason we did that, we wanted to prepare our team for the playoff run this year. So I think we've kind of been battle tested a little bit in that area. Playing against tough opponents in our non-conference scheduling. And I think we'll be in good shape. Defensively, we've been playing well, like you mentioned. There's some things that we still need to tighten up a little bit. And we knew we would have a team, a good defensive team this year. And offensively, we're starting to pick it up a little bit as the season, got to that midway point. And we've been running the ball a lot better the second half of the season than we were the first half.
And the interesting thing about that scheduling, I mean, those are teams that are probably, they're definitely not in the region, region 2 that you're in. Is there what kind of thought goes into that scheduling? I mean, are you more trying to find teams that are a little closer to your region in the upper Northeast or maybe even in the Midwest versus having to deal with the teams that you may eventually see down in the Gulf South or the SAC?
Yeah, we definitely want to try to stay closer to our university as much as possible. But at the same time, playing a Saginaw Valley team out of Detroit, out of Michigan, I should say, that wasn't the ideal opponent, but that was the only game that was open for us at that time. And and it's, like I said, it's a very good football program. So it gave us an opportunity to get some quality points with regards to the whole ranking and seeding process.
Are you guys getting to that point where it's starting to become hard to find opponents as you start thinking about future schedules? I mean, is the Bowie State name becoming one of those teams that people are like, I don't know if we want to play them because it may hurt us?
It's been like that for a few years. It is definitely tough, and that's why we picked up a Delaware State this year, a FCS opponent. Ideally, you want to keep kind of keep everything in house in D2 because that'll help you strength of schedule and everything else. But you're trying to find games, and I'm glad we were able to do that. Some schools didn't find 10 games this year, so we just want to find good quality competition that'll help us get better and prepare for the postseason play.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we're one of those. I've been on this thing with along with a few other people like Chris Ferguson of D2 football. We keep saying that the CIAA and the SIC need to do kind of a weekend, just take best versus the best, do a mismatch, cross it up, and one good thing for HBCU football at the D2 level, and just kind of make that happen. That would help everybody out, I think, in my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know we've talked about as coaches before. Well, I don't know if you do something along in conjunction with the Celebration Bowl, where you have this, MEAC winner, SWAC winner, CIAA winner, SIEC winner, and bring 4 universities together one weekend and play some football. I think that'd be good for all.
See,
Well, it
love
sounds
the way
like
you
Coach
think.
Wilson been in some of our private conversations right there.
Right? Exactly. Drew, go ahead.
So, Coach, one thing I find interesting about your team, you can win an all-out slugfest, 14-12 or whatever their score was earlier this year, and then you can win a game where both teams score in the 40s, and then you could beat somebody by 65 points. So, what do you attribute that to be able to play not one, not two, but 3 different styles of football? It seems like on a Saturday. As a fan, we know Bowie State's gonna win. We just don't know how they're gonna win.
It's good. I think it's good. I mean, just because you're able to have reference points and you're able to kind of you're battle tested. Like the Virginia State game, we were up. I think we jumped up maybe 21 points in the first quarter, and then we hit a little drought. We weren't scoring, and next thing you know, we're in a dogfight. And that's and then the Shawan game. There was it was a little rain, a little bad weather early on. We couldn't really get going offensively. And defensively, we played lights out football to beat those guys. I think it was 14-3, if I'm not mistaken. But it's good to have those experiences. But once again, we want to continue to get better and learn from those experiences. And teams that we're supposed to put away, we want to put them away. And we know the playoffs, everything's a dogfight. It's win or go home right now. So if you want your season to end, you lose a ball game. If you want to continue to play football, you must win.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, we're not going to look ahead, but as a number 2 seed, you will be at home, have the opportunity to play at home for the first 2 rounds, guaranteed. So long as you win. So, do you think the weather, with all these teams coming from, these teams down in my neck of the woods, all these teams in Georgia and Florida, you got a couple of the lower Carolinas having to come up north, and we know in Maryland, in late November and into December, ain't no telling what the weather's going to be. It'll be 70 degrees in the morning when you walk outside, and it'll be 30 at kickoff at 2 o'clock. So do you think that, especially with that run game that you've established, do you think that's going to really help you out?
I mean, I hope so. Any advantage, if you will, definitely, will work in our favor. However, I know coaching staffs across the country that desire to play in late November, early December. They're preparing for their guys all year long to win a championship in cold weather. To play football in cold weather. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all. We'll be ready to roll at home, and we're fortunate, to play in front of our home crowd and our local fan base here. So we're excited about it.
All right, Brian, let's take it home.
Bowie State leads the nation in defensive touchdowns, which is by not well. There's a couple of teams that are relatively close, but 5 fumble returns, 2 by interception returns. From a defensive perspective, Coach, what's the most pride that you have with this defensive unit? Is it their ability to just, from terms of total yardage, to be able to keep teams from being able to move the ball forward? Is it the defensive touchdowns? Is it just the overall play? You got athletic playmakers out there. I keep telling people there's at least a couple of guys that we may see on Sundays. Just talk a little about the defensive side of the ball for your team.
Well, we're led by our defensive line. Our defensive line, I think we play maybe 8 guys a game, and they really get after it really well in the pass game as well as in the run game. And we're not really caught up in the amount of yards the team may have. We want to stop them from scoring points. That's the biggest deal for us. We had 1 goal line stop this past yesterday. They drove down, they got to the 2-yard line. Our defense, kept them out the end zone. So at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to keep teams out of the end zone. We want to play sound and play fast, and I think we're doing that right now. But we were definitely going to be led by our defensive line and the guys on the back end doing their job in coverage. And I think we're in good shape.
All right, so Coach,
go
ahead, Drew.
Maurice Leary on our YouTube page says, "Congratulations, Coach, for putting Bowie in the Natty and bringing the Natty to the DMV.
I appreciate it. That's our goal.
All right,
Coach. I'll get you out of here on this, Coach. Give us an idea on the schedule for your guys this week. Does it change, or do you treat this like any other week? Focus on what we got to focus on.
It's a regular home game. The only difference is for a coaching staff, we typically work a week out as far as breaking down opponents. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, you're not able to do that. So we're going to have a long night tonight breaking down film and getting the information out to our guys tomorrow. Then we'll just go through our regular work week, and we'll be ready for a 1 o'clock kickoff on Saturday.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. That was going to be my next question, if we knew what time kickoff was going to be, but you just told us it's a 1 o'clock Saturday kickoff.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
And will the game be streamed somewhere so that we can follow it? Do we know that yet?
I'm quite sure it will. All our home games have been streamed, so I'm quite sure Ms. Williams will get that information out, and it'll be on our website as well.
All right. We appreciate your time, Coach. Again, congratulations on the CIAA championship for the third consecutive year. It's fun tailing you guys. I mean, we are constantly talking about streaks and keeping up with where Bowie State has been. So it's a pleasure to actually have you on and talk with you. And good luck this upcoming week against Lenore-Ryan. Saturday, 1 p.m., home game for Bowie State, the 2 seed in the region. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back right after these words. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back. From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2000.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and Drew here. Glad to be back on with you. Appreciate everyone who's out in the chat room. It's a little spicy out there. That's all right though. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it out there. Don't lose. Don't lose your rent this upcoming Saturday. Whoever you are out there, just let you know. Don't make any bad decisions based on who you think might win. That's all I gotta say.
Duh, man.
Yeah. It's all good out there, though. Appreciate you guys. Make sure to jump in there on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Go ahead and hit that like button on the subscribe channel for us while you're out there. Make sure to share this feed. We appreciate all of you, Wildcats included. We appreciate you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at MyBCSN1. Go download that Jericho Broadcast Networks app, MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you can find us on the Google Play and Apple iStore. All right, let's go over to the SWAC. Let's kind of transition a little bit back to the FCS. The SWAC never gets old, Drew. It's just the gift that keeps giving week to week. This was the third full week of action between all 12 schools. One of the things I started doing, Drew, I started tracking East versus West, because, there's a lot of talk, obviously, going into this week. The East sits with, Jackson State, who was in first place. You got FAMU there, Alabama A&M, the defending champs. And then over in the West, you've got Alcorn, Prairie View, the Blue Bloods, Grambling, and Southern. So I just thought I'd kind of track and see who's been winning lately. And over the last 3 weeks, the East is 8-1 against teams from the West. 8-1. Yeah. 4-0 this past Saturday. 3-1 last week and 1-0 the week before. Now, that brings the season total 9-5. 9 wins for the East, 5 for the West. And I believe there are still, 1, 2, 3 games upcoming.
So the East has won.
3 games, yeah. So basically the East will have won. According to my numbers, the East would have won the East versus West, but they can put it away with dominance in week 12. So those 4 wins this week included Alabama A&M with a 52-49 win over Texas Southern. Bethune-Cookman winning their second game in a row. Watch out. The Wildcats all of a sudden have swagger now. They've won 2 in a row after being winless.
No,
we wanted y'all to get a win. Rattler Nation wanted you to get a win. Now you got 2, and now you done grew a pair underneath the cat fur. Okay? So let's just pump the brakes a little bit, okay? Pump the brakes there, Wildcat Nation. Pump the brakes. But anyway, nice win over Grambling. I don't know if Grambling's still distracted or not. Just saying, still distracted. A lot of things going on there in Grambling. You had FAMU's 37-7 win over UAPB. And then you had Jackson State rallying down 17-7 in the fourth quarter, beating Southern on the road, breaking a 9-game losing streak to Southern, and actually winning the SWAC East by virtue of winning that contest. And Drew, as I went back and watched that contest, 2 things stood out for me. 1, Shedeur Sanders and his ability to run is really a separating factor here in terms of, we talk about people like to say Jackson State doesn't have a running attack. Okay, but I tell you what, they got a quarterback who can run, and when you feel like you got everybody covered and you leave just 10, 15 yards, he knows when to take off, and better yet, he knows when to slide. Secondly, 2 opportunities that Southern had a chance to put that game away, and Shedeur makes big plays. He's supposed to be a freshman, right? But I watched a 2nd and 22, and I watched him make a 19-yard pass play, which brought up a 3rd and 2 on that game-winning drive. Then on that same drive, on a 1st and 20, he ends up throwing what ends up being the game-winning touchdown. He's got a 6'5 receiver. Southern's got a D-back who's like 5'10. Bad mismatch every day of the week. You're supposed to foul that guy, right? You're supposed to hold him, do whatever. You're not supposed to play jump ball with a guy like that. You know,
not when you're the only person back there.
Take the 15 yards. Take the 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how the game ends. Emotional scene there. Love the scene, seeing Shedeur come over to his father there on the sideline. Coach Prime, you know, that was a touching moment. I mean, I don't have kids, but Drew, as a father, I'm sure seeing that had to be every dad's moment. You know, that was a dad moment. That's one of the things, like, I'm not crying, you're crying, because, you know, put all the other stuff to the side, man. That was a pretty cool moment there.
Yeah.
And then,
hey.
Well, yeah. Well, what I was going to say is that combined with what happened at the end, and I'll let you jump in before I talk about what happened at the end.
Yeah. Before I say what I got to say, shout out to Dr. Cavill who's watching us. Bryan, since you brought up the East versus the West record, Dr. Cavill wants to know, do we have the road records of these teams? Who's actually won on the road? You know, Dr. Cavill with the data points. And speaking of Dr. Cavill, if you remember back in, I believe it was late July or early August, we asked on his show, what was going to be the better division, East, West, or the BAC 6? I remember I said the East was going to be the division to watch for. There were a couple other members of inside the HBCU Sports Lab, not named Dr. Cavill. I'm not going to call him out, but I think you can figure it out by there, who said the West. So I'm not.
Well, I'll say this.
I don't say we. Go ahead.
This weekend, the East was 4-0 on the road this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. All four of those teams were on the road. A&M was on the road. Bethune was on the road. FAMU and Jackson State all on the road. Yeah. So
well, that answered that question.
Yeah. And then, hold on. I'm going to go back even last week. Alabama State. No, let me see. I'll go back. You know what? I'll do the research, because Doc always likes to give homework assignments. You know, so I'm like, Doc want to give me some homework. Maybe I can get some extra credit on Tuesday's show. I'm gonna come in with some extra credit. I'm gonna do some extra credit. So, all right, I will look up that information, Doc, on Tuesday. I will have that for you. But Drew, any thoughts on that game before we talk about what happened at the end of the game shortly?
Also, the end of the game, you know, you talked about the moment with Shedeur Sanders and him embracing his father over on the sideline. Did you pay attention who made the interception to seal the game for Jackson State?
Yes, I did.
That would be the other Sanders. That would be Shiloh who made the interception. So kind of the book is little brother leads him to the game-winning drive, and big brother seals it by making a defensive play and making an interception to seal the game. Now,
well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say what I couldn't understand about the end of that game is I'm watching those passes, and I'm just like, you know, it just seemed like, again, just like the week before, where the passes were just a hair off. You know, by Bubba McDaniel, the same against FAMU. The same thing happened this week against Southern. I mean, that is not his forte, but they were trying to throw deep, and I felt like, take the 15 to 20 yards that Southern is giving, or that Jackson State is giving you. You don't have to throw a 40-yard pass play towards the end zone. There was still enough time to go over the middle or get something a little more secure. I thought.
Especially when they went to that drive with 3 timeouts.
Yes, exactly. Again, mismanagement of timeouts. Almost anyway. I'm gonna let y'all Southern folks have that issue, but whatever.
Yeah, I think Bubba McDaniels was trying to make the home run play and make the big play instead of taking what the defense gave them. He could have chunked the ball down the field, nickel and dimed it, and then got down about the 30-yard line or so, or 25-yard line, then took the shot for the end zone instead of trying to pick up 40 yards on every play. Just my personal opinion. But I do want to talk about the end of the game. And yeah, second week in a row, we have had an incident involving HBCUs. And for lack of a better word, tempers, fisticuffs, that's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. Poor sportsmanship. And that's on both sides. We're not singling either team out because both teams were wrong. Now, what's going to be interesting about this, and if you saw me on Cavill show
set
this
up
morning,
what
I
happened
brought this
first.
out.
Set up what happened first, Drew, in case anyone didn't happen to see what happened.
If you haven't seen it, where have you been for the last 24 hours? After the game was over, one of the Jackson State players got the J flag and went to go plant it at the 50-yard line in celebration of Jackson State. And I don't know if it was because of the victory, because they beat Southern, or because they won the East. But whatever the reason was, it could have been a combination of all of them, but he went to go plant the flag at the 50-yard line. One of the Southern players basically was like, oh, hell no. And if you remember the T.O. at Dallas when he was in San Francisco, it was kind of that type of moment for Southern, except it wasn't just one person stopping him. It was the whole team as both teams were leaving the field headed towards the locker room. And then
it was the end of the game where you had, right?
The game was over. The game was officially over.
You would think teams are coming to the midfield to either say, they're supposedly,
shake hands, dap it up. Hey, that's my old high school teammate. What up, brother? Stuff like that. But instead, they kept going. They went back and forth with it, and there were punches thrown at each other. Don't know if they connected. You got football equipment on. It's hard to connect a punch with football equipment on. And if you do, I've been getting hit for the last 3 hours. That little slap to the face mask or to the shoulder pads is really not going to hurt me, but it's the principle of the matter. Security was there, trying to break it up. You heard the referees' whistles, tweeting. Sometimes I couldn't tell whether the coaches were helping or hurting, trying to separate players, but that's another side story. Here's where I'm going with this, because I don't want to belabor on that portion of it too long. This could play into the SWAC championship. How so? Alcorn plays Jackson State next week.
Yes.
Suspensions may be coming for this incident.
Mm-hmm.
If certain Jackson State players get suspended for a half or the entire game against Alcorn, it makes it that much easier for Alcorn to stay in contention to win the West, because Alcorn took care of business by beating Prairie View, which was step one for Alcorn. Prairie View is off. They do not play again until after Thanksgiving when they play Valley. A Valley team who has shocked a lot of people. Go back and listen to the August 7th version of the Carlos Brown show when I said Valley was going to be relevant. But anyway, I digress. A Valley team who can beat Prairie View and who has beaten some teams in some of the games outside the Alabama A&M game. They've pretty much been in every other SWAC game this season. Even Jackson State. Jackson State had opened it up in the second half against Valley to beat them. So Valley upsets Prairie View. Alcorn beats Jackson State because Jackson State doesn't have certain players. Now, you've not only changed the potential opponents in the SWAC championship game, now you've got Alcorn and Jackson State in a rematch in the championship game. But that you also may have potentially changed the Celebration Bowl, which may allow Alcorn to get back to the Celebration Bowl. So, that may be the thing. And one step further, Alcorn beats Jackson State. Prairie View beats Valley. Does that potentially open it up so that Prairie View now hosts the SWAC championship game instead of Jackson State? certain things to consider are the ramifications from this incident. So there's three different things that may be fallout because of this one incident.
I'm not going to correct anything you said, but I do. You stated that the player went to plant the flag, and that is what a lot of people implied, including Jay Walker during the broadcast, and no one planted a flag. Apparently, is what I don't think the video shows anybody planting the flag, although that is the terminology that many people are running with and seem to think that he could have been going out there just to wave the J. I don't know. He did get to it looked like he went to midfield, and I'm sure you got to remember, hey, it's field turf. It's not real grass, so you weren't going to really plant anything. Although
the symbolic of planting
the
the flag.
symbolic gesture, like what Baker Mayfield did when he was at Oklahoma, who knows if that but technically no one planted a flag. Okay, so let's just be clear about that. Who knows what his intentions were, but yes, you saw him running out there, and I think maybe even another guy might have got a hold of a flag too, and they could have just been in pure joy wanting to wave it. Who knows? Southern wasn't too happy with that, it seemed. And yeah, during the broadcast, what I think is bad is the game is closing, right? ESPN is going through their closing roll, and I think they stayed on to capture what was happening. They could have easily gone away and said, hey, thanks for watching tonight's broadcast. But no, they stayed. Jay Walker or somebody even made a comment that a particular player from Jackson State even threw a punch because they even went back to a replay from what I'm told. They went back and did a replay. So I'm like, oh, my God, they're doing replays of the incident. None of that was very helpful for either team, Jackson State or Southern. And then I get the press release, which came out at 10 minutes after midnight, Sunday morning, technically Sunday morning, from the SWAC, which read, the Southwestern Athletic Conference is currently reviewing the incident which took place at the conclusion of the Jackson State at Southern football game. After a comprehensive review, the conference office will make a determination regarding necessary next steps in accordance with the league's constitution and bylaws. The Southwestern Athletic Conference, now watch this last sentence, upholds a high standard of good sportsmanship, and any conduct deemed detrimental to those efforts will be handled appropriately. So I got two issues with that. Okay, one, the fact that had to come out when it did tells me that is somebody was really upset and that one got put on ESPN. I think the fact that ESPN stuck with that was embarrassing, and the conference had to come out with a swift statement regarding that. I mean, look at the time, 12:10 when it gets released. That's not a good sign for
11:10 local time.
11:10 local time, right? So that means, hey, somebody is watching this. Oh no, are they fighting? What in the world? Okay, that's not a good look. You know, here you are with major sponsors. And wasn't that was your classic game, wasn't it? Wasn't that the SWAC Classic? So, needless to say,
no, Alcorn Prairie was. I think it was the Alcorn Prairie View game.
I thought it was. I don't know, but I know
regardless, it was a prime time game.
Well, my point being, yes, it's a primetime game. Nobody wanted to see that. And then you had to get ESPN replaying it like it was some bad YouTube video. Here they are replaying the incident and showing, hey, look who threw the punch. Blow up, that's not a good look. Second thing to think about here. In previous incidences under Dr. McClellan, and we can go back to two incidences regarding basketball teams. I won't say schools, but you know who they are. In men and women's basketball that happened within the past year, okay? A total of 10 players from one particular school and another school were suspended for one game for a brawl that happened last year. So there is precedent for players being suspended for an entire game for this type of stuff happening. So, like you said, That's not the look. So there will be some suspensions coming down. The question is, will they be whole game suspensions? Will they be half game suspensions? Now,
Will there
here's
be
my
multiple
last.
game suspension?
You know what? I hope not. I hope they don't let it go multiple, because I don't think this carried over. I think you had the one incident, and then it didn't move into this corner. It didn't move over into that corner of the field. It kind of stayed where it was, and then it was over. I will say this. I'm a little shocked that this came out when it did, and not a word has been said regarding the incident that happened between Grambling and Florida A&M in the third quarter of that ball game, where an entire team left the sidelines and came to the other side of the field during a sideline scuffle. Not one word has been said about that. I know, coaches have said some things about security and so on and so forth, but all I'll say is I'm surprised that nothing has been said by the conference office regarding that incident. I mean, here we are 2 weeks later commenting about, and I don't know whether it's because it's post-game or whether it's in-game. I don't know. But I'm just a little surprised of the quick reaction. And the quick reaction tells me that somebody is PO'd that happened, which means there will be some. I will be shocked if there are not some suspensions coming down as a result of this. Just my thoughts. Let's take a break and come back with some more talking about that upset by, well, I don't know. Can we call it an upset that happened on the reservation? Some people might. Some people might not. Let's take a break and talk about that. And then the big upset that happened in the MEAC. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. You can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless. Pick something we all like.
Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you. All of you.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Want to thank you guys for being in tune with us out there on YouTube and on Facebook, chatting away. Keep the conversation going. Make sure if you're on YouTube, go ahead and make sure to subscribe to that JBN YouTube channel for us, please. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then give us a thumbs up. If you stayed in this long, it's much appreciated. Make sure you're following us on Twitter Instagram and Facebook at my BCSN1. Just got an announcement. There will be no Inside HBCU football after our show tonight. So I know BJ Jones, excuse me, will probably have his, I know he does his Twitter Spaces show on Tuesday. So be looking out for that. And then, of course, later on Tuesday, you can also catch Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab as well Tuesday night. If you haven't downloaded any of our shows on podcast, you're missing out. Look for the BCSN Pod Zone. You need to be subscribed to that. We're everywhere. Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you listen to, all of the shows that we do, all aggregated right there within 24, 48 hours at the most sometimes. After they've gone live, we drop them on podcast format there for you. All right, Drew, before in the bottom of the hour, we've got Gabe Giardina from Albany State joining us. But we got to talk about two other games, big upsets that happened. We've got on the reservation, Prairie View coming in, ranked for the first time since, I think I saw maybe 2013, maybe 11. I don't know. It's been a while since Prairie View has been ranked in the top 25, coming in with a record. I think they were unbeaten, 7-1, something like that, unbeaten in SWAC play, playing Alcorn. And this was a big-time battle in the West. Prairie View pretty much could take home the West with a win, right? And then, they ran into a hot Alcorn team that put 24 points up in the second quarter. They ended up having a lead as much as 31-9 after a Felix Harper 10-yard touchdown run with 10:27 in third quarter. Prairie View got it to within 2 after a 70-yard touchdown play from Jawan Pass to Trejon Spiller, but they were unable to convert the 2-point conversion and tie the game up. And that was at 7:07 to play. And, Alcorn State was able to hold on to that win and get that dub. And as you said, Drew, it just creates – it keeps Alcorn State in the mix.
Yes. Yeah. And speaking of Alcorn State, that classic game that we were talking about is next week against Jackson State, Brian.
Right. Yeah. So that'll be next week where let me see. I'm going to my matrix here. So next week, Alcorn State is traveling to Jackson State. And look, there is the potential, of course, of actual games that could be missed by some Jackson State players. So we'll see how that plays out. Prairie View has to play they've got the unfortunate non-conference game against Texas A&M, right?
Yes.
Just
which is why I say the Valley Valley has a good chance against Prairie View that following week.
Well, you often hear about teams talking about when they go and play FBS teams earlier in the year, you're just trying to come out of that game healthy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
How do you come out healthy in week 12?
Well, look, I mean, it brings up an interesting dilemma. I know Prairie View is going to go into that ball game with guys who their quarterback is a, FBS level player. So, I mean, they're going to want to go into that game and sort of redeem themselves after losing. But then again, they also have to say, if we're not mentally locked into this game and if it gets out of hand early, you may have to pull guys and sit guys. And just because you need them to be ready for that Mississippi Valley State game, because as you said, that game, Mississippi Valley State, who got a win over Alabama State, 44-31, they can be a headache for Prairie View on the last week of the season. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm thinking. And that's Thanksgiving weekend. I think that game is on a Friday.
Yes.
Or maybe,
yes, it is.
So it's a short week. So you're playing. You're coming off of a big an FBS team. Short week.
On a short week.
The day after Thanksgiving.
Where is that game at, Brian?
It is a home game. Fortunately for Prairie View, it's a home game. That's the only saving grace is that it's a home game. That's the only saving grace.
It could be in Itabena.
Yeah, well, it's not. So that's a good thing for Prairie View, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And Brian, somebody put this in the chat. It's a very good question. Let me see if I go back and see who it was. Do you consider Alcorn beating Prairie View an upset?
Alcorn's lost the last. They lost the last 2 weeks. Do I call it an upset? I call it.
That was Maurice Leary who said that.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, the number one team in the West, unbeaten, ranked.
But you're defending East champions, but not the defending East champions.
They're not the defending West champs, though. They're not the defending West champs, though. So I would call it a little bit of an upset. As weird as that sounds, a little bit of an upset. I would call it a little, not much, but a little bit of an upset. You know, like I said, given who Alcorn's lost the last 2 weeks to Southern and Bethune-Cookman. A winless Bethune-Cookman team, if I'm not mistaken, at that point, and a Southern team, which we've seen now, Southern's in the midst of a 3-game losing streak. So, yeah. Let me jump over to the MEAC because that division, look, we thought it was going to come down to the last week of the season. But then last week, what we saw Norfolk State lose I believe it was a 21-point lead. 21-point lead on the road to North Carolina Central, ended up losing in double overtime. Now they come the next week traveling to Delaware State, have a 26-point lead at the half. Give up 28 points in the second half. Can't score. Give up 21 in the fourth quarter. Delaware State wins 28-26, thus ending Norfolk State's chances at winning the conference, because South Carolina State, despite losing to North Carolina A&T 27-17, is unbeaten in conference play, 4-0. And really, the only way, actually, there's no way that South Carolina State cannot win they won their share of the Celebration Bowl based on tiebreakers, right? They own the tiebreaker over North Carolina Central, who they beat 27-24, right? And so the worst case, South Carolina State splits with North Carolina Central. Am I saying that right?
No, yeah, Norfolk. They lose to Norfolk. They lose to Norfolk, and you have a 5-6 South Carolina State team representing your conference in the Celebration Bowl.
Right, and they split, and they could be co-champions if North Carolina Central ends up winning. Who, check this out, North Carolina Central, if they beat Delaware State, would be 6-5. How's that for you? How's that for you, right? How's that for you?
Isn't that so Biakish? Is that even that's a new word, y'all? Hashtag Biakish.
Hey, you can't make a t-shirt. We own the rights to that. We own the rights to that. We're calling it right here. It's copyrighted. SportsWrap. BCSN.
Go ahead, Roy, and start the copyright paperwork.
Yes, Miakish. That's a new word right there. When you have multiple ties and the team that goes to the Celebration Bowl has a losing record and they lose, Miyakish. You make some
But
rule up in the last minute and somebody can't win the conference because of it. Miyakish. I don't know. We'll come up
I
with
know
some definitions.
ESPN and the people at the Celebration Bowl would prefer a South Carolina State team to be the representative just for
Exactly.
fandom and travel purposes.
Well, and the history. I mean, who else to represent? Buddy Pugh, first off, great coach, legendary coach. The program, the most wins, most conference conference championships. There's history and legacy there with South Carolina State. So that's who you want to have representing
And
the media.
the best matchup for ESPN in the Celebration Bowl would be Jackson State and Deion Sanders coming back to Atlanta to take on South Carolina State.
There you go. All right, let's transition for a second because we have our second guest on the line with us, and that is the head coach of the SIAC champions. There he is, Coach Gabe Giardina. Coach, how you doing, Coach?
Hey, I'm doing great today, guys. Great. Glad to be on the show and glad to get that conference championship yesterday.
Yeah, congratulations on the conference championship. Another dominating performance by your team on both sides of the ball. And then, of course, congratulations on your placement in the tournament, in the D2 tournament. We'll talk about that in a moment. But if you can, if you can, as best as you can, put into words what these last few weeks have been like, and just the performance of your team and their ability to sort of lock in and play football with all the other things going on around them and dealing with the loss of a teammate and just what you've seen from these young men.
Well, I've I guess been inspired by the resilience and resolve of our team. Really appreciative to all of our coaches, here for just holding everybody together, holding me together at times. But I guess there's no real playbook for when a young man just tragically dies on campus in what is just a pure accident, and with him in a bus, and just been amazed at our team's I guess fortitude to honor Adonis Butler and his family, and every once in a while I'll flip on the Morehouse game and just watch him cover those last couple of kicks, and it brings a warm feeling to my heart. It's not a negative by any stretch of the imagination, because Adonis is such a great person, and I've been so proud of our team to just see them compete and win the Fountain City Classic 2 weeks ago against Fort Valley and be able to score 57 points, his jersey number in the game, and then to be able to go over there to Miles, who's ripped our hearts out in 2018 and 2019 in the conference championship game, and to go over there and really put in a kind of a dominating performance, shutting them out and scoring 31 points, and just real proud of the way our guys competed and kept showing up every day and playing inspired.
And not to take anything away, because you and your coaching staff, you guys are hurting just as much as the guys. Talk a little bit about what it's been, where are you guys finding your comfort in this whole process? Where are you guys pulling your strength from?
For me, it starts with my relationship with Christ. We try to build a lot of things in this program through the framework of the Bible, and drawing from just a daily relationship with Jesus, and kind of using that to minister to our spirit, and in turn minister to our players. It's been it's almost like our relationships have gone to another level, just because of what's happened, and been able to have some unique conversations about death and dealing with death, but then also life, and trying to celebrate life and celebrate every opportunity that we have to be together. And so I think we have a really close-knit staff because of that, and we start every day with a devotion, and it's we're football coaches, we're not preachers now. So it's the football version of trying to follow the Lord here, but everybody does a great job and trying to just be real and authentic.
Appreciate it, Drew.
All right, Coach. Are we up to 6 now on the shutouts? 6.5?
Well, we got 7 yesterday. 7. So I mean, it's that defense. The dirty blue is might be the dirtiest it's ever been. Giving up like 5 points a game right now.
Yeah. Now, Coach, I've been a fan of football a while. We're not gonna talk about how I played. That's why you never recruited me or everything. How poorly I played. But I'm pretty sure you've been around football a long time. Have you ever either been a part of a team or even witness to a team that has just dominated this side of the ball like you guys have this year? We've seen teams put up offensive numbers comparable to this, with 400 and 500 yards a game and scoring 40 and 50 points a game. But I cannot recall 5 points a game, and then with the shutouts and things like that. I can't recall since I've been watching not only HBCU football, but football in general, such dominance.
Well, Albany State people are quick to remind me that in 1960 we had a undefeated and unscored upon team here, but
before my time, Coach. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but mine too. In the modern era, no, I've never been around a team that has just performed so at such an elite level, and guys that just play so hard, and we really try to play a lot of guys. I think we're trying to roll like 18 deep over there, just rolling that defensive line, and then we're rolling some linebackers and just mixing up the packages, and it's been a blessing to watch. But those guys, they understand how to play with relentless effort and physical brutality, and they arrive. I mean, it's amazing to watch our film. Sometimes you're counting on 1 or 2 guys to make a tackle. It seems like we've got 3 or 4 guys. It almost feels like we're playing with 12 out there sometimes. And practice for our offense is a war every day, and we're better for that. But we're trying to go. We're going old school here. We're trying to tell people, hey, defense wins championships. We're trying to be the bad boys of the Pistons era, and and knock people around.
You open the season with the shutout at Mississippi College. You close the season with the shutout against Miles at Miles, both of them on the road. You got those mixes in between. Now you get prepared for the playoffs. A West Georgia team who likes to put up a lot of points. Now, on the defensive side, we know how good you are. And looking at it offensively, you guys run the ball at such a high clip, and I think they were ranked number 70 something against the run when I saw it. So just talk about the matchup of styles. So what you've been able to gather in the hour and a half, 2 hours since the pairings have come out against West Georgia.
Well, it's hard to put it into some quick words, but it probably is a contrast of styles, and we just had to go be ourselves offensively. We're not real flashy, but man, I tell you, we try to be steady, try to take care of the ball, and we've done that well at points in this season. And honestly, there's been some times where we've really not done it very well. Saturday being one of those days. So, we've got a lot of big play potential, but we rely on that senior heavy. I say senior heavy. It's an experienced offensive line. We got one senior up there that's been played a ton of games, and a junior that's played in a bunch of games. But we've got I guess an experienced group up there. We try to use 3 tight ends, and we try to play a little bit different brand. Everybody wants to be spread and dink and dunk, throw it around, and do all this stuff, and we're kind of more, hey, let's chuck it down the field, try to throw some posts and different things, and let's ground and pound you and try to bloody your nose a little bit. So that's just kind of who we are.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. Coach, last question before I turn it back over to Bryan. Since the regional rankings have come out, you've been sitting at number 3. Obviously, we know Valdosta State lost yesterday, and because of how they, I guess how they felt about West Florida, they bumped West Florida up ahead of you guys to number 4. So first of all, give us your reaction when you saw that come out on today. Number 1, and then number 2, just kind of go over the atmosphere that was in the room and how you guys found out about it, and what was the guys' reaction to the parent announcement.
Well, I think number one, we haven't been to the playoffs in a while. I think it's like 2013 or 2014, something like that. And so our guys are just really still excited to win the conference championship yesterday, and and so many of them that they had never been a part of a selection show. As an FCS coordinator, I got to make a couple trips to the playoffs and be a part of those shows, and it's an exciting thing. I mean, this is the football version of March Madness, and it's special and it's neat, and the guys are fired up. They're throwing their hats in the air. They're excited to see their name, kind of go up there on the board in Super Region 2, and we don't care about the pairing, or the ranking or whatever. We're just we're excited to be in. I thought for sure that Bowie would go to number 1. That's probably the bigger question, I would say, right there, which I think is a good talking point of why does that not happen. They're undefeated, and won the CIAA championship, and to me that's you're the undefeated team in the region, you ought to be number 1, but that's probably another discussion for another day when I'm not coaching. I'll leave that one up to you guys. But my point is, for us, we're excited to be a part of the tournament, and can't wait to go play next Saturday.
The obvious being able to schedule the way you did definitely helped out. I know we don't want to look too far ahead, but talk a little bit about scheduling and how the schedule, being able to schedule Mississippi College, Shorter University, even Valdosta, how that helps you out this particular year, given the fact that there's so many teams from the GSC. I mean, in this region, I mean, there are 3 of them in this region.
Sure.
So the likelihood is, I mean, obviously you're playing 1, but you may have to play 3 of them just to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's part of the deal. I think scheduling is hard. You're trying to find dates, and you're trying to find folks that it doesn't just break you in half. It's not so much the financial part, but it's it's the length of the drives. You know what I'm saying? You drive 7 hours to Mississippi, and you play them at 6 o'clock at night. You don't get back till 5 o'clock the next morning. And so, but it's difficult. But it's we try to do everything we can to play a really good, tough non-conference schedule to get us ready for a tough SIAC schedule. Obviously, if you can do it regionally, to where you can get a Valdosta or West Georgia to come on campus, it's great for our fans. It's great for our community. I mean, those are short trips, and they're big crowds, which, at this level, we know that our guys, they want to feel like they're at Georgia. They want to feel like they're at, Florida State, because those are the 2 teams that are probably closest to us, Auburn, whatever. And so we want to give them those type of environments. So we try to schedule so we can have as many folks in the stands as we can. That's why, next year we're going to play FAMU down there in Tallahassee. I mean, it's a short trip for us, and hey, there'll be a bunch of people there.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That'll definitely be a well-attended crowd. And I know there'll be a lot of folks from Albany traveling down. So, I mean, it'll be a good representation down there for that. You've been building this program since you've taken over. You've been building it, and you've been building it. You can see the steps, getting to the championship game, now winning the championship, getting to this spot where you're in the playoffs and in a good place, and you built this defense. Now you're here at this week. What have you prepared yourself mentally for? What do you think may be the biggest challenge this week in your preparations for Saturday's game?
Well, I think it's anytime you're in the tournament, you can't make the games bigger than they are. You want your team to just focus on the moment, not the consequences of the moment. I don't want these guys going out there and thinking, oh, we make one mistake and, we're going to lose the ball game. We just have to play to our character. And the same things that have helped us win 10 games so far are the same things that will help us win one game this week. And that's kind of been our mantra, and our goal is to just play one game at a time, try to go 1-0, and really win at life. As while we're doing it, we've our big theme around here is to try to chase the crown, which is just, that has everything to do with this passage in 2 Timothy about fighting a good fight and keeping the faith and finishing the race. And so for us, that's what we got to focus on. We got to focus on the things that have kind of got us here, and not make it bigger than it is. Hey, look, it's one game against a really good team, and let's just go play. Let's keep it simple. We don't have to have 6 trick plays or 4 new blitzes. We just got to put the same clothes on and go play the same game that we've been playing, and make people realize, hey, we gotta go stop them, and we gotta go score on them.
Do you know the game time yet? Has all that been announced yet?
It'll be at 1:00 here in Albany. All these first round games across the country should be at 1:00.
Okay. I didn't know if they had made some of them different times or nights or whatever like that. Okay. Drew, you got any final questions for Coach?
Yeah. Final question. You guys had 4 common opponents. Both you guys going 3-1 against those opponents. Both you guys defeated Mississippi College, Shorter, and Morehouse, and both you guys lost to Valdosta State. While West Georgia defeated Morehouse 47-0. You guys struggled a bit against Morehouse, and that was a nail biter for you guys. So obviously, you're not going to get help from those GSC teams that they've played. But have you made a coach call down up to Atlanta to Coach Freeman and seeing if he may have anything for you against this West Georgia team?
Well, when you lose 47-0, you might have some things you don't want to do again. No. No, I tell you what. One thing about Rich Freeman is I don't know if anybody's team improves more throughout the year than his. They're really a lot different team in October and November than they are in September for whatever reason. And so, we'll obviously look at the common games and things like that. But I'm sure Rich is a good friend and a good man, and I'm sure he and I'll probably exchange some text and some maybe a call or two this week, just saying, hey, what do you think of these guys? But he might scratch that head. He don't have much hair up there anymore. He might scratch that head, go, oh man, I don't know if I'll do that again, Gabe.
So. Hey, I did have one additional question.
Sure.
Just a quick comment on how you feel about Savannah not being that second team in the SIAC. They were sitting at number 8. Thought with the Mars Hill loss that they may bump up to 7, but they jumped Lenore and Ryan over Savannah to get them in. Any quick comment on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of perplexed, I guess. I saw something on Twitter on some real close graphics that they had. One of the deals sometimes I think that maybe puts us at a little disadvantage in the league is not being able to play that 11th game because you're kind of waiting there for the conference championship game to see what could happen. And I sure think if Savannah had an 11th game to go out there and play another good quality team, maybe the vote gets flipped in a different direction. And I've got a lot of respect, obviously, for Sean and what they do over there. And so I just I was definitely surprised when that showed up. I knew it was a possibility, but definitely surprised. And maybe just something we can all learn from to say, hey, maybe there's a way, for the non-championship teams, like a Kentucky State, even on our, maybe it's the number 2 teams. Maybe there's a 1 versus 1 game and a 2 versus 2 game.
SIAC consolation game.
In the playoff. Yeah, just to help someone get in the playoffs, and I think that would be a real, positive for our league.
That's a great idea because I tell you what, that'd have been a heck of a contest, Savannah State, Kentucky State matchup.
It would have had to have been Lane. because Kentucky State had the contract against Erskine, but Savannah State Lane game would have been just as good also.
Yes, it would have.
Right.
Yes, it would.
All right, Coach. Hey, we appreciate you taking time this evening. It's been a great weekend, great evening, and back to work. The focus now becomes your opponent, West Georgia, this upcoming week. 1 p.m. kickoff at Albany, Albany State, and you guys make sure to go to ASUGoldenRams.com for more ticket information. And let's get those guys a packed house. We want to see a packed house in Albany, Georgia, and Bowie, Maryland, because we want to see you guys in the next round. So, Coach, congratulations again. We're following you. We're rooting for you. And good luck this week. All right.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Love the show.
All right. Thank you. We'll take a short break and come back after these words. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, A.D, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get them.
Any results from did the Chargers? What did the Chargers end up doing? Please tell me
Can
this.
use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Finding out the Rams beat West Georgia in 2019.
Oh, all right. Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D here. Want to thank again our coaches, Coach Damon Wilson of Bowie State, Coach Gabe Giardina of Albany State, the CIAA and SIAC champions respectively, and they are going to the playoffs. Again, they will, let's see, Albany State is a 4 seed taking on West Georgia. That game will be at Albany State on Saturday, 1 p.m. kickoff. Bowie State will be hosting as the 2 seed against Lenoir-Rhyne. That game will be 1 p.m. as well.
Maryland.
In Bowie, Maryland. So both, it's interesting, both of the HBCU teams with 10 wins, the only highest win record in that region, although Valdosta State, which is in Georgia, has the number 1 seed, and you have 2 others of their conference. Yeah, they also have the defending champions of Division II are in this region, West Florida, who
and
are
Valdosta State won the year before that.
Yeah, so the last 2 champions, 2019 and 2018, are in this region. So, and look, I don't think it's hard. I don't think it's outside of the spectrum of reality that among the top 4 seeds, the next champion could very well come, and that's powerful. That means Bowie and Albany State have the talent and the makeup and the coaching. They could very well be, and it's going to be fun to watch those teams play on the field.
One other point on that: Albany beat West Georgia in 2019.
Okay. Hey, one other. Okay, so as we start to look ahead before we do the top 5 rankings, just in the FCS level, again, the big matchups that'll be coming up this weekend in the MEAC. You've got South Carolina State traveling to Norfolk State. I gotta imagine South Carolina State would want to end their season with a win, so that they can celebrate their championship rightfully. With a proper
in above 500.
In above 500, because as you've eloquently stated, Drew, you could have realistically a 5-6 team in the Celebration Bowl representing the MEAC. So that could happen. The other big game in
hashtag MEACish.
Stop. The other game, North Carolina Central is hosting Delaware State. That's another contest. Over in the SWAC, the big game, Alcorn State traveling to Jackson State. Again, we got to wait to see what happens with the ramifications of the incident between Jackson State and Southern. How does that affect Jackson State? And of course, Southern is on a bye, along with Grambling. They've got the Bayou in 2 weeks. Prairie View has to play Texas A&M. Nice little mid-season FBS contest there for you. It's a payday, though, so I don't know. Texas Southern travels to Alabama State. UAPB travels to Alabama A&M. That should be I'll tell you what, go back and see if you can watch the highlights of Texas Southern versus Alabama A&M. That was a fun game. 52-49. If you had the over, congratulations. And then, of course, there's this little game that's played out in Orlando, something about the Florida Classic, just the biggest game, biggest family reunion in the state of Florida.
Well, Florida A&M will break the streak, the decade-long streak.
Yeah, something about Bethune having this little streak, this win streak. They're kind of excited about it. It'll come to an end. But anyway,
Bethune, these 2 wins, y'all got too big for y'all britches.
Yeah, exactly. Growing a pair underneath the fur, so as I like to say. So, but anyway, that's the schedule for next week. Let's roll through the top 5. Here's our top 5. Let's start with under D1. And again, these are ratings, not a poll. There are plenty of polls out there that will be coming out throughout the course of the week. There are no voters involved in this. This is all metrics. The numbers say what they say. The number 1 team in the under D1 poll, Albany State, right now by a slim margin over Bowie State, who's at number 2. Both teams at 10-1 is a very slim margin. I'll ask you a question in a second about this, Drew. Savannah State, 8-2, coming in 3rd. Slim lead over Fayetteville State, who comes in 4th at 8-2 as well. Langston finishes at 7-3. Remember, for one time, Langston was the number 1 team for the beginning, or almost the first 4 or 5 weeks of our rankings. They've lost 3 in a row, but still managed to be number 5. Kentucky State, Lane, Virginia Union, Shaw, all kind of finish right there in terms of 6, 7, 8, 9. That's if we did a top 10. That's what it might look like. So my question to you, my question to you was going to be, what might separate Albany State and Bowie State down the road?
Assuming both win the same amount of games and lose at the same point in time, is that where you're getting at? Because obviously, if one wins one more game than the other one, they will probably wind up our national champion.
Okay, so that's pretty much. But I mean, if both go as far and end as far as they do,
Albany plays a tougher opponent strength-wise in West Georgia versus Bowie against Lenore Rhine. So that's what's going to determine it. It's going to be the ranking of their opponents going forward. And what also will help Albany State out because of how our ranking system goes, Albany State will be on the road before Bowie. So that road win will give extra bump to Albany State.
In the end, we're rooting for both teams to meet in 2 weeks in the regional championship game, and then we'll just settle it out there. We may just come with the trophy to the site. Because then
it's win it on the field.
Exactly. Winner on the field wins the Under D1 Black College National Championship and advances to the Final Four.
And we'll be able, if that happens, I will find my way to Bowie, Maryland.
Yeah, because they are the 2 seed, so that would be hosting. They would be hosting, right? All right.
Yes.
Okay. Let's jump over to the Division I side of our top 5 for this week. At number 1, I believe for the 3rd straight week now, with some clear separation, is Jackson State, still sitting at 9-1, unbeaten in the SWAC, 7-0 in the SWAC. Coming in at number 2, jumping up from the 3 spot, Florida A&M with a record of 8-2, 5-1. 5-1? No, 6-1.
6-1.
6-1 in the SWAC. Coming in at number 3, dropping from number 2, Prairie View A&M, now with a record of 7-2. And moving, I don't know if they're staying right in the same spot. I think they are. Number 4, actually, they may have gone up a spot. Number 4 is Alcorn State. They come in at 6-4. And back into the top 5, Alabama A&M with a record of 6-3. Quietly, Alabama A&M could finish the season with an 8-3 record here, and still would be an impressive season, despite that little hiccup there in October. And then outside of the top 5, you got Norfolk State, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, and Tennessee State, North Carolina A&T. South Carolina State might be the team that could find their way into the top 5 depending upon how things go with teams at the bottom, because of course they've got the win. They got to play Norfolk State, and then they actually get an opportunity in the Celebration Bowl, right? So
yeah. And which would be an interesting dilemma if South Carolina State wins out. By rating, they won't be the national champion, but
the television people. Hey, look, the television people will say the Black College National Champions is the winner of the Celebration Bowl, and then all of us will have to argue, not really. But anyway,
but the interesting thing is, a FAMU getting into the playoffs right behind the Jackson State, and a FAMU getting a playoff win or 2. Let's have that debate. That's the debate I want to have.
Look, I love stirring the pot. That's all we're going to end up doing is stirring the pot, man. Folks will be so upset, but that's just what they do. Hey, the numbers don't lie.
I'm not just having that debate because it's FAMU. It's just because we have a team in the playoffs.
The numbers are what they are. All right, Drew, we got to get out of here. So, look, thank you, everybody. If you're out there watching us and you've been interacting with us on YouTube, if you've been interacting with us on Facebook and in the chat rooms, we appreciate you. Go ahead and hit us up if you want to. You can hit Drew up on Twitter at BCSN Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DRB365. Or, as always, send your comments right there to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1. That's the number 1. Go download that Jericho Broadcast Networks app, which you can find on your Google and Apple Play Store. Just search MyJBN or MyBCSN. We appreciate you doing that. And be looking out for the podcast that'll be coming out later on the BCSN Pod Zone, or you can just get our podcast on the BCSN SportsWrap as well. Shows coming up later this week. Don't forget Dr. Cavill on Tuesday night inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Of course, we've got the O&G Strike Zone on Wednesday night. And then we'll have some other stuff later on in the week. So be looking out for that. And Drew, any final thoughts, words?
No, I'm just excited. I plan on being in Albany, Georgia on this Saturday for the for the championship game. So excuse me, the playoffs. So look, I'm Albany State, Bowie. I want to see them win our national championship on the field. That's my whole goal at this point, my brother.
All right, you guys make sure to support. Go to those websites, Albany State, Bowie State. Make sure you tune in and find out how you can watch those games. If you're in those areas, if you're close by, go to the game. Go support those teams. They need all the HBCU love that they can get. And, keep all of those teams and players in your thoughts and prayers, all those teams that are going through something. So you guys be good out there. Thanks for watching and staying tuned in with us on the Black College Sports Network tonight. Be good to each other. Stay safe. Peace out.
I holla.
But stay hard.